Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in to the Creative Council. My name is Natasha, and today we're going to be doing a Dreams Unpacked, where we unpack a dream that was submitted in the comment section. And typically it's going to be dreams that are relating not just to individual, but us as a body corporately, or ecclesia as a whole. So it can be helpful to not just one person, but many, because that's what the Lord is wanting to do in this hour. So in this dream, it's important to note that he's had these kind of dreams for several years. Specifically in this dream, he is seeing rocket ships or jets or rocket ships either in a boneyard or in the woods. And so, or sometimes he'll see them towering over a horizon. So, but in the dream, he is talking to people in a place in the woods where there's a clearing, so there's no trees there. And the people are rebuilding a space shuttle, and they are allowing him to be involved. And in the dream, he feels excited every time these kind of dreams happen. So that's the gist of the dream, though. So he's in the woods, he sees rockets, he sees jets in a either boneyard or in the woods or on a horizon. And he's talking to people or with someone, either people in past dreams, either was his dad or a grandpa or someone like that. So what does that mean? So we're going to just apply what we talked about in the previous video about making a dream simple and simplifying it. So we're going to look at the focus, and the focus of this dream is obviously Mr. Wade, because without him, the dream would not make sense. So he is the focus. The sub-focuses in this dream are the rockets in the jets, the woods in the boneyard, or the horizon, on the horizon. And another sub-focus is going to be the clearing in that woods with the people. And the last sub-focus is going to be his involvement, because that's how it ends. He's doing something. And so you have the focus, which is him, the rockets as a sub-focus in the jets, the boneyard in the woods, the clearing in the woods, the other people, and then his involvement. Simple, right? So taking it back to the jets and the rockets. So these are in a boneyard kind of scenario. And a boneyard does not necessarily have to be like dead bones or, stuff like that. It could be like a junkyard for cars. It's a place where things are discarded, things are abandoned, things are forgotten. And that is the gist of that. Now, one thing that stood out to me is when he said the boneyard, that reminded me of Ezekiel, the valley of dry bones. And so it's important, if you wake up and you get a scripture or a verse, pay attention to that and go and see what it says. And so I read that scripture in Ezekiel 37, 1-4, and it talks about the Lord came to me and brought me up in the spirit, and he set me down in the midst of a valley, which is interesting, of dry bones. And there he caused me to pass through and around the bones, basically. He said to me, can these dry bones live? I replied, this is the Ezekiel replying, I don't know, basically, Lord. And he said, prophesy to these dry bones and hear the word of the Lord. I will surely cause my breath to enter in, and they shall live. I will put sinew and bring forth flesh and cover them in skin and put my breath into them, and you shall know that I'm the Lord. So I read that scripture, and then I laid it on top of the dream. So what I mean by that is, when I laid it over the dream, I saw the common denominators within that. So in this scripture, it talks about dry bones. In the dream, it's talking about boneyards, right? And in the valley of dry bones, and then this clearing of the woods, which is a clearing in the woods, is called a pasture or a meadow. And so the clearing is a overlay in the dream of the valley. So the meadow in the valley are parallel, if you lay them over each other. And so it's a clearing of space in where the dry bones are. And the fact that the Lord said to Ezekiel in that scripture that I will cause these dry bones to live. I will breathe. That word breath is spirit. So it's literally the breath, the wind, the spirit of God being breathed into those dry bones. And if you lay that with the dream, it's the breath of God breathing into these rockets, these ships, or rocket ships and jets. And so the jets and the rockets, when you look at and you break those down, a rocket is something that's carrying something to the outer limits. It's like to the outer limits of spiritual things. And in a rocket, you have a very broad perspective. You have a wide perspective, and you're able to function and operate from that perspective and actually go further in things that people have not gone into before. So that's telling of that. And the jets they do go into the heavenly realms as well, but not into like the celestial realm, but just the heavens you can see. But they're still very powerful. They are very powerful. They're able to move very swiftly and quickly in the heavenly realms and move in new ways. They are not really hindered. They move efficiently. And so these aircrafts are a representation of the dry bones. So the aircrafts are not people, but they are ministries or callings on people or for people that have been discarded. So just like those bones had been, discarded in the Valley of Dry Bones, this boneyard, these are dreams, ministries, callings of individuals or churches or people groups that have been discarded, that have been abandoned and forgotten. And so him seeing that and being able to come into that place and experience and see that is telling in itself that the Lord is wanting to do something, and he's allowing him to see it for a reason, because he's going to play a part in it. So he is a representation of the current generation, or the current generation of the church, because when he comes into the meadow or the valley, he comes into the meadow, which also meadow is a pasture, and that speaks to Psalms 23. He leads us beside still waters and pastures, green pastures, and that's a place of provision. So even in the valley, there's still a place of provision in that. And so the clearing out of the woods with the people there, the people is going to represent the generations, because sometimes it's his grandpa, sometimes it's his dad, and it's not representation of a generation or two ago. It's the generations of the church. So you have the, Smith Wigglesworth and Charles Finney and Catherine Kuhlman and all of these people who have sown and who have labored and who have birthed things and who have sown a lot into different people's lives, and all the things that could have came from that. A lot of those things, a lot of the callings, the ministries that were birthed, have not reached its full potential, and a lot of it has been discarded in that age and in the currently. A lot of times, even now, people have given up on their dreams, their callings. Churches have failed. Just all these different things. Just that represents the desolation of the callings, the church, the ministries that could have been, that are just desolate. And so coming together is him. You have Mr. Wade, and you have the prior generations coming together to rebuild a space shuttle. So space shuttle is a place where something is launched. So they're rebuilding the space shuttle to relaunch these callings that are specific to people who are called to go to the outer limits. People are called to go to height in the kingdom, and even height in their understanding of the heavenly realm and different things that have been abandoned. So the key part of his function in that is helping to rebuild that and launch people into that. And so the last part of that dream is him getting involved and being excited about it. So obviously this is something that he is in his heart to do, but also it's like I said, he's representation of the current generation of the church, the current generation of the ecclesia, not just the ones past. And so our generation, and I'm not talking about millennials or Gen Z like that. I'm talking about this generation of believers in the earth right now. our generation, we're supposed to partner with the generations past to rebuild, like Nehemiah, rebuild the walls, rebuild what God is wanting to do, because there has been a lot of turmoil even in the world, but a lot of desolation. And so a lot of dreams, a lot of callings, a lot of ministries have been abandoned and have been forgotten and have been even aborted. So the call to action in this dream is to pray and ask the Lord who and what are those dry bones specifically, because there's a specific role that he's playing, but also that we need to play as a body and as a ecclesia, in praying into that, into what God is wanting to do in individuals' lives and in ministries and in his body, really. And so anyhow, so the gist of the dream, there's been a lot of, desolation. God is calling his people to come together and rebuild. It will be in a place of provision. It will be in a place of where there is a pasture, there's a meadow. And we're called to rebuild like Nehemiah did. And it's going to be not just one person. It's going to be an effort from the generations, our current one and the ones past, to build out what God is wanting to do in individuals' lives and in the ecclesia as a whole, and the calling and the ministry he has ordained. And specifically to higher levels and higher heights in him and in the kingdom, because there's things we have not experienced. And so that's the gist of the dream, and partnering with the Lord and his people to do that. So we can't be a one-man army. It's not about people's ministries anymore. It's about God getting the glory and us coming together and doing things as a unit. Just like the finger can't operate apart from the leg, the eye can't just do its own thing. We all have to work together. So anyway, that was an amazing dream, and it's very encouraging. So I hope that was encouraging to you. Like I said, the call to action in that dream would be to ask the Lord, what are those dry bones? And also implement what Ezekiel did, because the Lord told him to prophesy, which means to speak. And if he's asking him to speak, then the parallel there is to, what the call to action is to be a mouthpiece for God to speak those things of his heart into those dry bones. And he will give you words to speak in prayer. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much again for listening. If this video has blessed you, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Till next time, be healed, be whole, be free. Bye.